What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Vikings Now. I'll be your host for today's show, and coming up on today's show, we're talking about two trade targets that I think the Vikings could possibly be looking at on the defensive side of the football. We know the Vikings were a poor defensive team last year. These two guys, Isaiah Simmons and Chase Young, would automatically help that Vikings defense out, so we'll be diving into both these guys in depth in here in a little bit. But let's start off with this. Let's start off with the Danielle Hunter report that came from Ian Rapoport right before we got on live, and obviously if you guys are seeing this in VOD fashion the next day, we're talking about it. Ian Rapoport, he said the Vikings are taking calls on superstar edge rusher Danielle Hunter. And just kind of my initial thoughts is I don't want the Vikings to move off of Danielle Hunter. I think Danielle Hunter, over the past, if we're taking the last 3 years, he obviously had that neck surgery, and then he had that torn pec that kept him out a while. And then this past year, kind of coming back fully healthy, having that full offseason, he did struggle at the beginning of this past season, but I think his struggles were a lot more contributed to the Vikings going from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4. And if we remember that second half of the year, Danielle Hunter, he really ramped it up. And I really do believe Danielle Hunter, he's a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL. He's actually got top 5 talent, in my opinion. And at a point you could have made, Danielle Hunter was up there with the Bosas and, the other top-tier edge rushers in the league. I mean, just look at him in this photo right here. The dude's absolutely jacked. He's an athletic freak. He's extremely vascular in his arms, also, you can tell in this photo. But I've always been a fan of Danielle Hunter. If the Vikings were to move off from him, I would want them to at least get a first and a second. Bradley Chubb went for a first and a third, so I'm hoping the Vikings could at least get a first and a second. But if Danielle Hunter were to be traded, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So that's why you guys got to make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you guys are just looking to become a more informed Vikings fan, we're going to keep you posted with news, rumors, trade rumors, injury updates over Lewis Cine, Jordan Addison, whoever it may be. We'll be your one-stop shop for it all. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/Vikings Today. Now let's talk about it. Chase Young. The report came out that the Commanders are open to trading star edge rusher Chase Young. This did come from Albert Breer. And Chase Young has had a rocky start to his NFL career. But if we look back to his rookie year in 2020, honestly, this dude was fantastic. In only 15 games, he had 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. That is a tongue twister. 13 tackles for loss, and 44 tackles total. I think Chase Young, just talent-wise, he's a top 10 edge. Like, talent-wise, Chase Young, he pops off the screen every single time you watch him play. I've always been a fan of Chase Young ever since he came out of Ohio State, and he was the number 1 overall pick in that 2019 NFL draft. But the Vikings edge rusher situation, we got top dog Danielle Hunter. He is the show. He is the main man, and obviously we're just talking about the trade rumors around him, so who really knows if he'll be on the team next season. Then we obviously got Marcus Davenport, who we brought in NFL free agency. I'm excited to see him play. And then these three right here, I am a big fan of just this group as a whole, but these three right here, these are the guys, if any of them just kind of pop and take that next step, this edge group, even though they did move off to Zadarius Smith, I think it could be a top 5, top 10 at minimum group in the NFL. Patrick Jones, he kind of popped a little bit last year. I saw that talent. I saw that flair come out of him. And then Andre Carter, the UDFA out of Army, he was fantastic 2 seasons ago in college football. Kind of took a step back this past year, but he's got unreal talent, 6'7", really bendy athlete coming off the edge, and the DJ Wanham. He really popped his rookie year. Again, same thing, kind of took a step back last year, but if he could ever get into that Pro Bowl, All-Pro level, the Vikings could really have something cooking there. But I'll toss it your guys' way. Would you trade a first-round pick for Chase Young? If the Commanders call you right now, you're Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and said straight up, Chase Young for a first-round pick. What are you doing? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass. I would do a second, but I wouldn't do a first. I think I would pass on a first-round pick. I like Chase Young, and edge rusher is obviously a very important position in the NFL. You obviously want to get the quarterback right, and then you want to protect the quarterback, and then you want to get to the other team's quarterback. So obviously edge rushers are a huge need for any NFL team. But for a first-round pick for a guy who's really dealt with injuries throughout his whole NFL career, I would probably lean towards a second. Obviously, last season he did kind of slow down. He had 0 sacks in limited time for the Washington Commanders, but he's 6'5", 264 pounds, and he is an absolute monster coming off that edge. I've been always a big fan of Chase Young. Chase Young, he's been a dog for the Commanders, but he's dealt with injuries. So a second, I would do. A first, not so much. Isaiah Simmons, the Isaiah Simmons trade, he is next up here. Just a thought. This has been kind of thrown out there that he could possibly be on the trade block. With the Cardinals looking to tank next season, that's just straight up what it is. We can call it like that. Could they be open to trading Isaiah Simmons? Obviously, we just saw they cut DeAndre Hopkins, and then Budda Baker also requested a trade this past season. And the number one word that you kind of associate with Isaiah Simmons, versatility. He plays almost any position on the football field. And this past season, he actually filled up the stat sheet pretty well. Damn near 100 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 2 interceptions. And overall with Isaiah Simmons, I do think he's an extremely versatile player, like I was just saying, and I do think he would fit in very well with Brian Flores' defense. And if we can kind of take a look at scouting Isaiah Simmons and some of the measurables around him, he is an athletic freak. He is 6'4", 238 pounds, arm lengths at 33 3/8 of an inch, and his 40-yard dash at 4.39. I mean, being able to run a 4.39 40 at the size of 6'4", 238 pounds, that's just special talent. That's just a special type of athlete. And I really do think he would fit under Brian Flores. You know, Brian Flores, at any press conference that has came out, he has always said, I'm looking for versatile guys that can play multiple positions. In college, Isaiah Simmons, he played safety. He played linebacker. He played edge. He even hopped in the nickel corner spot for a little bit. He really played all over. I think honestly, Brian Flores, he would have a field day, and he would love to have a guy like Isaiah Simmons on this Vikings defense. But let me know, what would you give up if you were Kwesi Adofo-Mensah? What would you give up for a guy like Isaiah Simmons? Let me know down in the comments section right now. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Overall, I do love Isaiah Simmons, and I love his game. I love what he brings to the table on the football field. I think he's an extremely fast athlete. He's just a great, great athlete, and I think Brian Flores could get the most out of him. But let's ride with what we have. Like, I love what the Vikings are kind of cooking up in the linebacker group. Obviously, they had a big change in moving off from guys like Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks and kind of those Zimmer type of linebackers that we've seen for so long. But I'm curious, or I want to just ride with what we have in this linebacker core. I got some more thoughts coming up here in a second. But, hey, guys, if you guys want to get the new kind of hot jersey amongst Vikings fans, it's Jordan Addison, and we got a great deal going on right now at chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. He's going to be wearing number 3 for the Minnesota Vikings in this upcoming year, and I'm super excited to watch him play. And if you guys want to get his jersey right now, we got a great deal going on. chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Make sure you guys get your jerseys today. All right, we got to talk about the linebacker group because I would love to get Isaiah Simmons, but like I was saying, I like what we're cooking with right now, and I think Asamoah's stock is rising fast. I mean, there's been reports out of OTAs that Brian Asamoah is absolutely dominating. He looks fast. He looks explosive, and that's what we really wanted to see out of the third-round pick from Oklahoma. You know, last year, obviously he didn't really play too much, but he was fantastic in the limited reps he did get. He had that huge play against Daniel Bellinger against the New York Giants, and he really popped during that one play. But we can also talk about Ivan Pace Jr., the UDFA out of Cincinnati. He was supposed to be a top 100 prospect. Our very own Chat Sports Tom Downey did have Ivan Pace as a top 100 player in the NFL, or top 100 prospect, heading in the NFL draft. So if you could pair up Brian Asamoah and Ivan Pace, I think it would be absolutely exciting. I think the fireworks show would happen. And I think there would be a perfect modern-day linebacker combination because we don't really see these old-school linebackers like the Brian Urlachers and the Lance Briggs where they're 6'2", 250 pounds. Most of these guys are like 6'2", 230, 225 even. You can take a guy like Roquan Smith, for example. I think he normally floats around 235. So a guy like Asamoah and Pace, those kind of younger and faster linebackers, I think it would be incredibly exciting. I think that could actually be pretty damn good for the Minnesota Vikings. But guys, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Any news and rumors that come about this team, we got you. We'll be your one-stop shop for all Vikings content all offseason long. Obviously, big news and rumors around Danielle Hunter and Dalvin Cook. So when anything happens about those two, we'll have a video for you guys out ASAP. Thank you guys so much for watching today's show. Let's go Vikes.